Welcome to Shelby Stitcher. This is Joan Parker. On this video, I'm going to show you how to turn your machine sewn binding to the back of your quilt and hand stitch it. This is the front side. You can see where we folded it and then continued sewing down. We're going to flip to the back of the project, and I have a single strand of all-purpose thread in my needle, and I'm going to take a little stitch starting about halfway across the width of the space between the top of your quilt and right below where the stitching was done. This is done so that your knot will not be visible from the outside. We're going to fold that right over, pull that up, pull it out straight, and I'm going to flip that down, and where I came up through my project, I'm going to come up just a few threads through my binding. I'm going to keep this nice and straight. So the whole purpose of this is to preserve this raw edge that has your quilt top batting and quilt back on it and finish that edge. So we're going to line this up with this stitching line that occurred when we sewed the binding on by machine. I'm going to go in right below where my thread came out of my binding, go very shallowly through the quilt, and then come up just a few stitches from my next part of binding, and I keep repeating that process, going down through my quilt right below that stitching line, pulling it up, and I'm going to do 3 stitches in a row. I have almost always used a thimble while doing this, and so I'm going to put one on just because that's what I normally do. But right here I'm going to go and do a stay stitch. I'm going to go right underneath that line of stitching and come out the same place where my last thread just came out. And I'm going to grab my thimble while I'm showing you that. I'm going to pull that through and see how strong that is. And look at how you can barely see my stitches. This thread was selected to match the binding fabric. Here's your line of stitching. Again, we're going to go all the way to the corner by taking these little 1/4 inch stitches, putting your needle in right below where it just came out through your binding, go under that line of stitching, go diagonally to your left, and I want to stop right in the corner. I'm trying to do this so that you can see it, but I'm not sure what you can see exactly. Okay, here's my line of stitching where the corner goes across. So I'm going to do my last stitch right here in that corner. And then I'm going to do a stay stitch by doing another stitch in the exact same place. And I've always told the girls that I'm teaching, when you're setting your sewing machine, or setting your hand sewing needle down, poke it into your project so that you don't lose it. Now we're going to turn this 90 degrees. Again, I'm going to pull my binding up from where it was sewn on the front to make sure it's completely flat. And then I'm going to take this corner and hold it with my finger and just fold that straight down. Now what this is going to do is produce a beautiful miter on the inside of your quilt that matches the one on the outside along this edge of the fabric. And I'm just going to tuck my needle right inside that fold so that, again, that thread is hidden. And I'm going to go back in that same place where I just did the other 2 stitches. I'm hoping you can see this. I'm going to go right where the corner of those 2 places meet and come right up through my fabric. And I'm going to give that a good firm pull. And you see how that pulls that right into place? And then I'm going to go in there one last time and start working my way to the left again. I take my needle and go right under where that stitch came out, but I'm going through the quilt fabric, and I go to my left. I'm just going to do a few more stitches, and you can always watch this again if you need to see it. But the secret here is going through right below your line of sewing, which should be invisible after you've made your hand stitch. And that's the whole point. So I'm going to do another stay stitch so that I can let this go. I'm going to put my needle in there. And this is what the back of your quilt should look like. Can you see how very little of the thread you can see? There's your mitered corner, and here's your mitered corner on the front. And you can see how neatly that sews, and you don't see any threads from the front, and you don't see any threads from the back, or very few. Please like and subscribe to this video. Use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. Leave me a comment letting me know if there's anything else you want to be seeing up close about the whole quilting process.